day, ordinary people are changing lives. Good people are doing great things.
Hi, it's so good to have you. We all need more Rumaris in our life.
And it deserves attention.
I really want to create this legacy.
Remarkable and well said.
This is The Bright Spot.
You know, you hear private plane and you think lavish lifestyle, right? Well, one pilot is making sure his plane is life-saving. It's called Samaritan Aviation. It's making sure people living in remote villages in Papua New Guinea can access something we may all take for granted: medical care. Flying those that need urgent medical attention 700 miles to the nearest hospital. This is a trip that could take 5 days. It takes only 2 hours for him. Essential for those whose lives depend on getting immediate care. And so many depend on this. This is an area suffering from malaria, cholera, and in some cases, polio. Mark Palm is the CEO and co-founder of Samaritan Air, and he joins me now. Mark, thank you first for what you're doing. How did this all come together to create this airline, and how did you pick this region to focus your flights?
Yeah, good day, Lynn. It's it's a long story for me. As a young man, my grandfather was a pilot. My dad was a minister, and he ran a homeless mission in Santa Cruz, California. I had a chance as a young teenager to give back and to feed and clothe people, and then I had a chance to see another culture on a missions trip to Mexico as a teenager, and had a chance to see how the rest of the world lives. And that really had a huge impact on my life. And then, going to Papua New Guinea as a 19-year-old for the first time and seeing a remote part of the world, and seeing places where they don't have access or hope when they have emergencies or have diseases or sickness outbreaks. And that's really where the vision for Samaritan Aviation came from, living on a small island with the people, seeing their needs, talking with them about what life was like, and then feeling this call for me as a Christian to be the hands and feet of Jesus, and to show God's love in action to this remote area. And all of this water over in Papua New Guinea, it's a 700-mile river, one hospital, 500,000 people, and as you mentioned, most of those people are 1 to 3 to 5 days away, and really have no access or hope. And so then to bring seaplanes and planes that land on the water and can get to these places and offer that hope and access to those people, that's really where the organization came from, the dream. And we spent 10 years going around America. We started in 2000 and spent 10 years telling the story, talking about this dream that we had, and finally arrived there in 2010. My wife Kirsten and my 3 kids, and I put the plane to get back together with a bag of tools and flew it into this remote area, and we began this life-saving work there.
And no doubt it's been life-saving for so many. I would imagine, one, that you get funding somewhere and that you hope to expand, because there are so many different villages that could use this.
Yeah, it's a huge, for me, it's a huge thank you, really, to all of the supporters. We had for years believing in the dream, and now we have supporters, churches, foundations, and the Papua New Guinean government actually supports 40% of our operations, and so it allows us to offer free service. And we're working as medical evacuation flights 7 days a week. We deliver medical supplies to 40 different aid posts. We've delivered 178,000 pounds of medicine now, saved over 1,250 lives. We've helped stop cholera outbreaks. Polio came back this year, and that's been a big focus in Papua New Guinea, working with World Health and the UNICEF this last year to help eradicate polio in Papua New Guinea. And you can imagine 40% of our flights are with mothers and babies. And so when you have obstructed births, any pregnancy challenges, they really have no way to get into that one hospital. And so offering that hope, that access, and being that lifeline is what we're able to do. We have 2 airplanes over there now, 3 pilots, a medical director, and we're looking at expanding over to the western province of Papua New Guinea, and we're excited about the future. We feel like we're just getting started, and just a quick story. The very first flight, we spent 10 years going around America telling people what we could do. We knew what the need was. I'll never forget that first flight in 2010, going out and picking up this mom who was unconscious and bringing her in. She'd been in labor for 3 days, and she went into surgery, coming in the next morning with my wife and our kids, and seeing this mom holding a baby and 2 lives that were saved. And they named the baby after me, which was an amazing honor.
I'm not surprised.
And to finish this story, this last March, I was there with the U.S. Ambassador, Ambassador Gray, Ebert Gray, from Papua New Guinea, and had a chance to see this baby. He's 9 years old now, and to see this mother, Antonia, and her family.
And Mark,
and they
I
brought
would
more.
imagine there are going to be more babies named Mark in this area because of all the wonderful things that you're doing. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us and for what you're doing for all of these people. Hopefully you can expand and be doing this in other areas. Mark Palm, thank you for being with me.
Thank you so much.
And if you want my take, here's the simple truth. You know, we talk a lot on this show about horrible people doing horrible things, but it's the great people like Mark that we learn the most from. It's why we created The Bright Spot. It deserves attention. And you may have heard another person doing the same, like this Arkansas mom who was looking for a bargain at a Payless shoe store. And this story came out over the weekend. You may have seen it. And it was closing, and she ended up with something that we should all treasure. Her daughter, Harper, asked if they could buy an extra pair of shoes for her classmate. And that's when Mom was inspired to take it one step further.
As I was checking out, I just said, "How much for the rest of the shoes in the store?" Almost joking. And then I could see the clerk's face, her wheels start to turn, and she finished checking me out. And she said, "Can I have your number?"
To her surprise, she soon got a call that the entire store, 1,500 pairs of shoes, were hers to give to those in need. And it has since inspired others to donate school supplies, money, and more shoes to her mission. It's a reminder that kindness is contagious. And at the end of the day, our success as parents and society will depend on how many Harpers or how many Marks that we raise, people who think of others before themselves.
You know, I always tell my kids, if you ask them what they want to be when they grow up, they say, be kind. And so I don't care what they do in life as long as they're kind and good people. And so it just reiterates to me that their heart's in the right place. And if it's in the right place, they can do amazing things.
And that's the simple truth.